welcome down to Life Podcast. Today, it's been a long time planning this one. We're down at Newark Golf Club with the professional here, Tom Bean.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I know we've been on and off a few times, mate, haven't we?
We have, mate. Yeah,
cool.
I think it's been tough trying to match up my availability with yours. It's been tough, but I'm pleased we've made the time to get this in. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, bless the winter for that one, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's helped, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think for both of us. I'm certainly a lot quieter this time of year. No tournament golf to play in. Lessons quieten off for me. I'm sure I'm not the only golf coach where it quietens off. So yeah, mate, it's perfect for me. Things like this time of year is sort of my only opportunity that I get to do them. So yeah,
the stars have aligned.
Absolutely.
As you can see, Tom is a professional golfer and he's sponsored by Wilson.
Yes.
And Code Fitness.
Yeah, so super lucky. Super lucky. Wilson have been looking after me for a couple of years now. That came about through my head pro, Jason, who's he's been around for the second half of my training, and obviously getting to know the rep for the area, Stuart, and actually got introduced to the rep who is now the head of Wilson for Europe in the gym. So that was super cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that was. It was like being in the right place at the right time, which I suppose all these things are.
Is it down to you to chase sponsors when you're up and starting and that sort of thing, or?
Do you know what? I think for us, for me, I've always tried to seek out help as best I can. You know, when you're trying to play golf and play tournament golf, it gets super expensive. So with your travel and your entry fees and you know, everything that goes into it, just like balls and gloves and, you know, the amount of practice that, you know, that tournament players do, you know, I'm probably getting through a set of wedges every season. So it's,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it
Wow.
does get super expensive. So obviously having a brand on board, you know, to help me with equipment has been a massive blessing for me. It's just it's sort of a weight off your shoulders a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, I mean the manufacturers of all the top brands, you know, are super helpful. All the reps are good as gold, and I think if you give a little bit back as well, that sort of helps your cause.
Yeah, I think it's give and take, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think I think that the reps are quite keen to have youngish lads sort of helping out and trying to push their gear. And obviously I try to do a lot for Wilson as well. You know, it's not all take from my perspective. I try to give as well, and you know, I always try to promote the products and I try to push people into Wilson products because it's a fantastic product, and I think they've been around for a long time and they've spent a lot of money in development, and the golf balls for me have been fantastic. I thought I'd have a tough time changing into the ball, but I think the golf ball's been brilliant. Really good. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll dive into sponsorship and how it all works a bit later on, but obviously I've only been here I think a year and a half, something like that, as a member. And obviously you're my coach. If I have lessons, I come and see Tom. I'd recommend anybody else seeing Tom. Your whole tagline is from barman to golf pro.
Yes.
That seems a wild jump of careers. What? Why? What?
I think so. I was always into football as a kid. I played for quite a few academies. I played most of my football as a kid at Nottingham Forest. I was there for quite a few years.
Oh, you've always been athletic then and sporty.
Yeah,
right.
And I was always kind of one of those kids that everyone didn't like because I could pretty much turn me on to anything. So if someone asked me to go and play tennis, I was pretty good. Yeah, I was not fantastic, but I was pretty good. Yeah. Badminton, the same. Football, I was pretty good. And it's sort of interesting story, really. When I came out of football, my dad and my grandparents sort of introduced me to golf. And
what age was this?
I started playing golf when I was 14, and I started playing properly probably 15, 16.
It's quite late, isn't it, really, when you're talking professional golfers?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think because I was football was my focus, so it was like when I was a kid, it was like, I'm going to be a footballer. So like all of my attention went on football, and it's like everything was second to football. And I think that sort of helped me when I transitioned into golf. But golf was it was a massive learning curve for me, because it was probably the first sport that I attempted that I was terrible at. So like, I picked up a set of golf clubs, got given a set of golf clubs, and I was just so bad. Like it was like, for me, I couldn't comprehend how bad I was at a sport.
It's a sport.
Yeah, because
I think that's what gets you with golf, though.
Yeah, well, like, it was like I can't have this. Like, I have to be good. I have to be better at this.
Yeah.
And I think golf was a godsend for me, because you're not reliant on anyone else. So in football, it was like you're reliant on the manager to pick you first off, and then you're also sort of reliant on your team to a degree. You know, you could play fantastic and lose if your team have a poor day or whatever, or you could play terribly and the team could win comfortably. Obviously, it depends on your opposition as well, but for me with golf, it was like you're out there on your own and you determine your score. So, you know, crack on.
It's down to you, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I think for me, knowing that it was all down to me and how much time and effort I put in, it determined my score effectively. Yeah. It sort of helped me a lot, because I'd always had the work ethic for football, and then going into a sport where I knew that I was on my own, I think the work ethic from football transitioning into golf, I sort of felt like I was going to gain more reward because I wasn't reliant on anyone else.
Yeah.
So I went down that avenue. I decided to go to college, and I did a national diploma in sport at Lincoln College so that I could play golf. So I was part of the golf academy at Lincoln College.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So you had to... Was Lincoln obviously your first choice?
Yeah, so I went to school in Lincoln,
Right, okay.
and then left school, went to college. I always wanted to be in sport, but Lincoln College offered a program that allowed me to play golf as sort of part of the curriculum, so that was a no-brainer.
Was it a golf course that you did, or...?
It was called I think it was called Sports Performance and Excellence, or something along those lines. So it wasn't golf, but as part of the course, you could, like, there were some kids on my course who were doing like the football academy, and some were doing like the cricket academy, but obviously I did the golf academy. So the course itself, the academic course, was the same for us all, but then we split off to do our own separate sports. So that allowed me to play golf. Finished my course at college, and then it was...
What, you're 16 at this time, 17?
So it's A-level, so yeah.
16, 17 into A-levels.
Yeah, so I would have left at 17, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then it was like, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to uni, or, you know, what do you want to do? And I thought that at this point I was very much into golf, and I wanted to be a professional golfer. That's what I'd sort of spent the last sort of 4 or 5 years working towards. So I didn't decide to turn pro then. I thought that if I played full time and then worked in the evening, that would be my best bet, because I could spend all day practicing, work in the evening. So that's how the sort of whole barman to golf pro came about, because as soon as I started work, the only work that suited golf was evening work. And obviously the most common evening work is being a barman.
Yeah.
So that sort of came about, and yeah, I was practicing for 40 to 50 hours a week, and then working 40 hours a week. So,
wow.
And I did that for years and years.
Was it always, obviously when we say golf pro, there's a lot of professional sort of careers in golf, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Are you stretching out to be a tour pro? Are you happy with teaching, or?
I think my goal was always to be a tour pro, always. And then I think as you develop, and your career sort of evolves, maybe your goals and your expectations change. I've always sort of believed in my ability massively, but I think I was maybe a little naive to it when I was a younger man, I suppose. But I think that I would still like to play tournament golf, and I've always sort of had the aspirations to go as high as I can go. But I've always sort of gone day to day. Just try to keep getting better and see where it takes you. Yeah. Rather than, you know, if I have a poor year, thinking, right, that's it, I'm going to chuck him in the towel and I'm just going to coach. Yeah. Because poor years happen. You know, there's guys out there that like Justin Rose when he turned pro. You know, he missed, I don't know how many cuts it was, but he missed however many
takes a
cuts
lot
in a
of
row.
mental resilience, doesn't it? To like, no, you're not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not, and then suddenly, boom, it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, and do you know what? I think failures it's part of success, isn't it? So every successful person has failed, right?
I mean, I've
Most
just
times.
finished watching the Joe Rogan and David Goggins podcast, and David Goggins, do you know David Goggins?
Yeah.
He's very, I think he's in a law of his own sort of thing, but he said something along the lines of you only learn in the dark places, and that's pretty much that, isn't it?
Yeah, and do you know what? As a golfer, it's probably the most. Well, look, you lose a lot because if you don't win, you've
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
So you're first, or
There
you're
can
the
only be one
first
winner, can't
loser.
there?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one person that wins every week, and if there's 150 guys in the field, 149 don't win. In team sports, you're usually playing against another team, and you win lots of games, and you lose lots of games, and But with golf, if you won 3 or 4 times a year, you've had a fantastic year.
So that's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you put that into any other sport, it's not. Golf is legit. It's its own sort of sport within a sport.
Yeah, and do you know what? Obviously, if you finished second or third or fourth, fifth, you still feel like it's impressive,
It's
right?
an achievement, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to say that if you don't finish first, then you've lost. It's a bit harsh, but that's the reality of it. People don't remember second place.
It's the cruelest sport. It really is. It must be as well trying to get going on tour.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously I know a few guys who have gone on to play on tour, and I know how much they practiced and how good they were, and you always sort of compare yourself. And even now, like obviously playing in tournaments against guys that are trying to get their tour card, and you see the sacrifices they're making, and golf's just gone berserk in the last sort of probably 5 to 10 years. The scoring's just gone bonkers. But
You mean the quality of youths that are coming through?
yeah, and I think obviously the introduction of launch monitors and and the TPI stuff and all the body track stuff, the force plates, and there's a lot of knowledgeable guys out there that can now back up what they're saying with data. And that's sort of only been around for the past sort of probably 5 years, I suppose, 5 or 10 years. So I think for me that's why golf's evolved so quickly and the scoring's sort of improved so rapidly, because kids can buy themselves a launch monitor and have a setup like this in the garage and spend all winter grinding away, and they come up next year and they're a completely different golfer.
Yeah.
Compared to sort of when I was a kid growing up at 14, 15. Days like today, December, it's freezing cold. I remember stood outside on the practice ground hitting balls in the snow, and it's just your practice isn't as functional then as it is now.
No.
And that's why kids, I think there was like a 14-year-old kid who played a tour event last year. So,
Really?
Yeah. And
What sort of tour event?
like Top Tour, so DP World Tour.
Really?
Yeah. So, mate, it's impressive stuff, but
Wow.
that just shows the way that golf's developed. Because there was nothing like that. I mean, the most noticeable sort of story of late really was when that young lad, he was maybe 14 or 15, played in the Masters. I can't remember how long ago that would have been, but I'm going to guess that it was probably 4 or 5 years ago now.
So, and you started your golf journey at that age?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, so you're always sort of on the back foot, but I've never seen that as a limitation. I've sort of just seen it as, look, you've started the journey late, but just do what you can do.
Yeah.
And even now, obviously I'm 30 now, so you might say, well, time is ticking on, and of course it is, but I might peak at 40.
I was just about to say, do golfers have a... Because obviously footballers, you're sort of like, I think 32, is it? In the prime, or was it 28, something like that?
Yeah.
Does golfers have a peak sort of age?
Yeah, I think on the PGA Tour there was a statistic that came out, and it was like the average age on tour was like 35 or something along those lines. Obviously, you've got both ends of the scale, right? So you're probably still going to have guys on tour who are mid 50s, and you're also going to have young lads who are 17, 18 playing on PGA Tour. So I think to say 35 as an average age is pretty good. It gives me a bit of heart as well.
Yeah, massively. You still got aspirations then of going on the big tours and.
Yeah, and like I sort of said, really. I mean, I'm just focusing on getting better. You know, every year getting better. Obviously, I have chats with my coach, and we go through my statistics, and it's like, you know, where can we make the biggest gains?
Yeah.
And then you grind away, and you make the gains, and you try to turn your weaknesses into strengths, and then you go again.
Yeah.
You know, one of your strengths from a previous season that you think, right, well, that's a strength, so I'm going to improve my weak areas. Well, that strength might then become a weakness because your weaknesses have overtaken that. So then you go again.
It's constantly evolving into it as well. How your body as well can be different one day to the next.
Yeah, for sure. And
it's mind-boggling.
It is, mate. Golf's tough. It's the hardest sport I've ever played.
It's the hardest mental sport.
Yeah.
I think that I've ever done. I've competed in martial arts, which again is another solo sport, and I appreciate what you're saying about you're down to yourself.
Yeah.
If I don't train, I'm not going to do very well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing. But I think mentally, golf is tougher than any competition.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, you sort of go, well, golf's the only sport that you don't practice on the playing field, right? So, you know, football, they practice on the pitch, and then they go and play on the pitch. Rugby, they practice on the pitch, go and play on the pitch. Basketball, they practice on the court, and then they go and play on the court. So, golf, you practice in a simulator or a practice ground, and then you go and play on a golf course. And every time you play on the golf course, the tee box is slightly different, and the pin is slightly different, and the conditions are different, and the wind is different. So, there's no 2 days the same with golf, and you've got to factor all these things in, and that's why it's very rewarding,
when you
but
do
it's
well.
also very tough. And I like that.
Yeah, you like the tough, you like the challenge. Who's your like inspiration then for golf? Besides parents and whatnot, who's your 15?
Look, I mean,
15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, look. Obviously, when I was getting into golf, if you said I was sort of 16 when I started to take golf seriously.
Was Tiger still about then, dominating?
Yeah. So, anyone who's sort of my age, maybe mid-20s to early 30s, it was the Tiger era.
I mean, I'm 38, and all I know is the Tiger era.
He just dominated the sport, and I think when you see someone as dominant as that, it's hard to sort of look past that for inspiration. He was sort of all the inspiration I needed, and obviously there's books, and obviously I've read his book, and The Big Miss. That's a brilliant book. I've sort of grown up knowing that Tiger's the dominant golfer, and the work that he put in, and obviously now you hear a lot of stories about him from, you know, family members and friends and coaches, that, you know, the work that he used to do, and I think for a young man sort of looking at golf from the outside looking in, it was always like you wanted to be like Tiger.
Yeah.
You know, he swung it brilliantly.
Did you have the nightclubs and whatnot at the time? Did you go down?
Do you know what? I didn't.
No.
I didn't, and the reason why I didn't was because I wasn't good enough to use them clubs.
Right. Okay.
You know, everyone wanted to be like Tiger, right? And obviously with the night drivers, I never really had any night drivers. I think for me, with sport, I've never really been influenced by the equipment people play. I've more been influenced with how they act and what they do and how they are with people.
Tiger.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know what you mean.
But he was dominant, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't. It wasn't like I want to be like Tiger and play nightclubs. It was like I want to be like Tiger and be this dominant person.
Yeah. It's arguably, isn't it, the best golfer that's ever graced the earth. Arguably.
Yeah, and it is an argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, obviously, you look at the records that they've both created, and look, I mean, obviously, you got to talk about people like Seve, you know, what he's done for the game.
They talk about technology. Obviously, the technology that Tiger was using is so different and so far advanced. It's that conundrum, isn't it? Like, both use the same clubs and then go.
Yeah, and the same ball. You know, the ball's changed a lot as well. And you know, you look at sort of Jack Nicklaus's era. He was playing against a lot less guys who could compete to win than Tiger could. But
it's fascinating. The history of golf's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's amazing.
I think it is.
So Tiger was your main sort of...
Tiger was the guy for me, and I sort of can't go any further than that. And he still is, really.
Yeah, you still look up to Tiger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is anyone up and coming that you, or on the tour at the moment that you're looking at or got your eye on?
Rory.
Well, yeah. There's another one. Yeah, they're both tailor-made, aren't they?
Both tailor-made, yeah. Obviously, they've all, they've changed over time, haven't they? Obviously, Rory was Titleist for a number of years and then turned pro, and I mean, look, the branding things never really bothered me too much. I think all the top brands are doing very similar.
I think that's a big thing now, though, isn't it, with social media?
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Because obviously you see the tailor-made stuff that Tiger and Rory do and everything like that.
Yeah, mate, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's very educational for people, to hear from Tiger. And I think social media has been massive for golf as well, because that's something else that's changed since I was a kid. Really, you could never have an online lesson.
No.
And like now with social media, I hear it all the time when people come in and they say, so and so on YouTube says that I should be doing this, and it's like, well, it's.
Oh, I've got a big thing about that.
Yeah, I mean, it takes me back a bit because I get it, and obviously there's a lot of successful people who've done super well out of YouTube, and I've got nothing against them. I think fair play, because it takes a lot of work, but it's very generic stuff, and I think they are aware of that as well.
Yeah.
So I think for people,
it's not a dig at them. It's more the people that follow that sort of advice.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think golf instruction through YouTube. I think that's quite important for people who are beginners, who are learning the game, because a lot of the stuff that they need to learn is generic.
Yeah.
But then I think when you get to a certain point, then you've got to seek one-to-one coaching. I don't think one-to-one coaching can be beaten.
No, I'm a massive advocate of that, and it's something that I can speak all day about because I've been there. I've done the online stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like, actually, let's just see a coach. And obviously, that's where you came into my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is where it's at, and you can see an instant impact on what you say, and then you'll go and play, and it's like, I couldn't have got that from YouTube.
Yeah. The thing for me that I get mainly with people who have all their instruction, not online, but through YouTube, is that they could go and try something that's very beneficial for their golf swing, right?
Yeah.
And they hit 5 shots, and all 5 shots are terrible, right? Does that mean it was bad for them? They've hit 5 terrible shots, but they could have been doing something that was really beneficial that they had to stick with. And vice versa. They could go onto the practice ground and do something that's very detrimental for their golf swing, but hit 5 lucky shots, or if they hit 5 good shots, and they go, oh my God, this is for me. And then 2 or 3 range sessions later, they are in a deep hole because they've persevered with this thing that is detrimental for their golf swing.
Yeah. It's like I suffer with a slice when we drive. So you go online, or it pops up in your feed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How to cure a golf slice.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, okay, it's an outside to in.
Mm-hmm.
Generically, that's what's happening. Oh, right, now I need to swing inside to out. And it's like, I personally need someone there to guide you. I don't know how to swing into out.
Mm-hmm.
If I did, I would be doing it.
Sure.
And that's where the personable and the one-to-one lessons come in.
Mate, 100%.
It's a massive, massive thing for me.
Yeah, and I think when someone says, or a golf coach says to you, you're swinging out to in, swing it into out, it's like, how? How am I going to do that? How am I going to influence that? And do you have awareness of where your golf club is in space? Because if you don't understand how to swing into out, it's because you don't understand where your golf club is in space during your golf swing. And then how do you change your body movements to influence that?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you can look at me like I can't look at myself, or YouTube can't look at me. It's no, just do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the slightest tweak.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, actually, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is. I think if you understand how you're trying to move, I think for me, with all of my lessons that I do and I give to people, it's not always about the progress that you make in the lesson. It's about how your concepts change from entering the room to leaving the room. Do you now understand what you are about to go and do over the next 2, 3 or 4 weeks before I see you again to change your ball flight? Because I've done some brilliant lessons with people when I first started my coaching journey where during the session it's great, I can put them into right positions and we can influence the golf ball and the ball flight within that hour. And then they walk out the door and without me there putting them in positions, they haven't got a clue what they're trying to do or how to change. And conversely, I've had some sessions with people where they arguably hit it worse at the end of the session than at the start. But when they walk out the door, it's like this is what I need to do, and if I just keep doing this movement over the course of however long it is, my ball flight is going to react to the change in my golf swing, and it's going to improve.
Yeah. I might just off topic, but on topic, I might video a lesson with you if I get someone down to come down and record.
Yeah.
So just to give all this understanding of what we're talking about and how minute the changes need to be.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing, I play golf. Just put it in perspective to people. I came here on a 28 handicap. I'm now a 22, and I haven't played since joining. Well, when I joined here, prior to that, I've not played golf for about 15 years, 16 years. And I used to have lessons at, I'm not going to mention the club, just in case the pro sees this, at quite a prestige golf club, about an hour away from here. And you think, prestige golf club, it's for the rich and famous, and the coaches are going to be bang on. You're a lot better.
You think?
I know. 100%. And one thing that stuck with me, Tom, I don't think Tom says this to everybody, but it's just me. I'm shit at golf. I am. And I was getting frustrated. I can't hit shots. I can't break 100, Tom. What's going on? He said, like, we'll have a lesson. So I had a lesson. And Tom was like, you're shit at golf. Can you remember that?
I do. Yes, I do. And I think...
And it's like...
I don't say that to everyone.
No, but a light bulb clicked. And it's like, actually, Steve, I am shit at golf. Why am I hard on myself? But that was a mental lesson you was teaching me there, not a physical one. It was a mental lesson. It's like, you're not a scratch golfer. Mm-hmm. You might not have said shit. You might have said you're not a good golfer or something like that. But I interpreted it as you're shit at golf. And I am shit at golf. You need that reality check.
It's expectation management.
And I think that's what you do really, really well.
Yeah, and I think, so for all you viewers into golf, there's a book called Every Shot Counts, Every Stroke Counts, Every Shot Counts by Mark Brody. Fantastic book. Go and check it out. It's all to do with strokes gained, and it's how I base all of my expectation management, right? So I've read that book a couple of times now, and I think when you get your head around that and you start to understand what you should expect to do from certain positions on the golf course in relation to target, it's mind blowing. So there was a statistic came out recently. I'm massively into stats. Don't know if you've realised that yet.
Is that beneficial? So we'll go into that. Carry on with the story.
Okay, so there was a statistic came out and it was like from 75 to 100 yards in the fairway on tour, the average proximity to the hole is like 18 feet. And I was speaking to a scratch golfer about it, and he was like, mate, I would be distraught like if I averaged 18 feet from 75 to 100 yards in the fairway. And it's like, that's where your expectation management comes in, because the reality is that if the best guys in the world are averaging that, a scratch golfer should be over the moon to be averaging 18 feet. And then there was another stat that came out about Tiger Woods, and it was like from 100 to 110 yards in the fairway, he was missing the green like 1 in 5 times. And it was like, if I said to you...
That's a pure example. I struggled with that. Exactly what I've just said. And it's like, I'm not hitting the green for 100 yards. I'd fucking break my head.
Yeah.
Then it's like, you're not that good to hit the green. Look at the comparison. You're not a good golfer. You're right, mate. And since you've said that, it's just, my shots have come down. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying golf more.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a really important lesson.
Yeah, I think for me, most people who have coaching, right, they wanna enjoy golf, right? And for me, if you play better golf, you enjoy golf.
Of course, it's always enjoyable.
But in the same breath, you're a recreational golfer. It's not your living. You know, you come in for a lesson to try and get better at golf and try and enjoy it more. So then to expect to hit shots like a tour pro just isn't realistic.
No.
And
that's what I was doing though.
Yeah, but I get that all the time.
And it's like, no, I'm really not good. But it's just calmed everything down.
Yeah.
And it's like 7-iron, it's got to go 180 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got an 180 yard 7-iron in me.
For me, I don't agree with the whole. I don't agree with the, the stigma around how far you need to at each club, because
every club's different, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just like you have a 150 yard club, regardless of what it is, and you have a 170 yard club, regardless. It doesn't matter. Golf is about hitting your ball from A to B, or from the tee box into the hole in as fewer shots as possible.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
You use anything.
Absolutely. You have 14 clubs in your bag, and your goal for the round is to get from the first tee to the 18th green in as fewer shots as possible.
Yeah.
And no one will say to you, after you finish the round, what club did you hit on the 14th hole into that par 4 from 180 yards? Because they don't care.
It's ego, isn't it?
It is
ego. Massive.
Yeah.
I've learnt that as well. I've not got an ego. I don't give a shit if I'm hitting my driver 180 yards. Obviously, that's a lie because I want to smash it. But on the tee with people, you're 150 yards away. I've got my 5-iron. I've got my 7-iron. I've got my 7-iron. What are you taking? My 5. Do you know what I mean?
But no one cares.
No.
No one cares.
Apart from the people that yourself.
Yeah, and that's your ego.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter, because if those same players were playing with the tour pro who turned around and said I'm hitting a 5.
Yeah. You see it all the time though. I like Rich Shields personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's very. I like his character. I like what he's done with his channel, and I like his journey from nothing to what he is today.
Yeah.
And when I watch him watch a video, he's probably got 170 yards. Probably an 8-iron for him.
Mm-hmm.
7-irons. Now I'm just going to punch a little 5 in there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cross my head.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never think of punching a little 5 in at a distance like that.
Yeah.
But like you say, when you see the tour pros do it, it's nothing.
No, because they understand what they're trying to do, and they're just trying to get the golf ball in the hole in as few shots as possible, and it doesn't really matter what club.
Expectation management. I'll remember that. Nice
Yeah.
terminology. Right, stats. You're into stats. I'm a bit of a geek.
Mm-hmm.
Is it beneficial or is it not?
I think that if you want to improve and you want to have a measured way of improving, there's no other way that you can do that than by doing your statistics. Because I have people all of the time who come in for coaching and they say, X, Y, Z, I need to drive it better to score better at golf. Yeah, maybe you do, but maybe you don't. Prove to me that you need to hit driver better to score better.
And that's another thing I like about your coaching, the personability to it. It's like, I'll sign in before a round. You're like, let me know how you get on, mate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll send you the stats afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, you need to improve this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the great thing about having a coach. It's like diet coach or whatever. You don't have to think for yourself.
No, and it's about being accountable, isn't it? I think sometimes it's about, if you have a coach, like with what you just said about, someone who does your nutrition or your PT, as much as they're, guiding you through that journey, they're also keeping you accountable. Mm-hmm. And when you start having golf lessons, you've basically said to your golf coach, right, the first lesson is the start of my new journey. And for me, all of my clients become friends, and I want to know how they're doing. It says
a lot for yourself though as a coach.
Yeah. But it's not about the money. I mean, for me, I've always enjoyed helping people from day dot, for as long as I can remember. And I love golf. So it's like, if I can play golf and help people, I'm laughing really, because it's like, for me, this is the dream job. This does not feel like work to me. So when I see you in the shop and you're about to go and play, it's not work for me for you to let me know. It is work,
of course.
But it isn't work.
Yeah.
But the only way that we can have those conversations is if you say to me, here's my scorecard and here's my statistics.
And you've never once said, okay, on that round, how far did you hit your driver? How far did you hit your 7-iron? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant It's nice. I'm a bit geeky. I'd get a bit overwhelmed though sometimes with stats. Not overwhelmed, but it's like, I get a bit too focused.
It depends. It depends on what you're trying to achieve as well. So, like for me, I'm quite in depth with my stats. I like to know where I am. Obviously, I have breakdowns of all my yardages and how I perform in each bracket of yardages, if you like. Where I perform best, where I don't. And I think if I was to show you my stats, they would probably blow your brains. But it's not about what I'm doing. It's about what you need to do. What stats do you need to keep?
It's not a comparison. Like I say, it's a personal game.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not going to say to Joe Bloggs, who walks in, who's relatively new to golf, or he's just getting on the golf course, that he needs to do stats the same as what I'm doing. He just needs to do stats that are relative to his ability.
You bring me down. No, not down emotionally, but you bring my sort of intent focus. I'm like a Jack Russell sometimes chasing a bone. Like in the last round that I played, I had a lot of 3-putts. Mm-hmm. So I was like, a lot of 3-putts let me down today, mate. And he was like, it's not the time of year to be worrying about your putting.
No.
So that stat I was going to get, that intent focused on, it's gone.
Yeah.
Just for a simple text message.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I like, Tom.
And I think that for me is why I like to know, because some people can get in their own head, and they look at their round, and if they do keep their stats like yourself, and they can have 30 minutes after the round, and like you could have been sat in the bar looking at your stats, and you've gone, I've had 5 3-putts, and all of a sudden your mood is down, and you don't really want to talk to anyone, and then
you should be buzzing because you just had 4 hours. Well, for me anyway, 4 hours on a golf course, chilling out with your mates and having a laugh, but you come back a bit disheartened sometimes. Yeah,
and that's sort of where stats can be a bit, they're good and they're a blessing and a curse. If you get too intense with them, and I've been there with them, I get too bogged down with them. But that was before I read the Every Shot Counts by Mark Brody book, because my expectations...
I'll check that out.
I wasn't managing my expectations.
Yeah.
And that's sort of been a big phrase for me that I've had chats with my coach about. And you have to realise sort of where you are and where you're going, and just try to make marginal gains all the time, and just keep trying to get better.
Do you enjoy coaching? I know you enjoy coaching everybody, but do you prefer coaching scratch golfers or shit golfers like me?
Do you know what? I think, for me personally, I think coaching beginner golfers is way more rewarding.
But is it a bit boring because it's generic beginner faults, isn't it?
It is, but it's not about that for me. It's about giving back to the game. So I remember during the summer I had a lady she'd had a couple of lessons before, at another golf club, and she came to see me for a lesson, and we had 30 minutes. And at the start of the lesson, she was thinking about giving up. She couldn't move the ball off the mat. I mean, if she just took the skin off the ball, it was like an achievement for her where she was. Wow. And by the end of the session, she's hitting it properly, out the middle of the club, in the air. And it was like, she was nearly in tears at the end of the lesson.
Oh, nice.
And it was like, for me, that's way more rewarding. And I'm not saying at all that coaching scratch golfers isn't rewarding.
No, it's different. It must be a different job for you.
Yeah, it is. But then in the same breath, their expectations are different. So it's like they're already good, right? Yeah. So they're the marginal gains.
Is it harder to improve a scratch golfer?
No, I think your conversations are different, because most scratch golfers who I have taught understand a lot about the golf swing already. Some don't, but a lot of them do already know about the golf swing. So having different conversations is good. I prefer having those conversations because I'm talking to someone who's like-minded.
Yeah.
They're already well on their golf.
You don't have to simplify your tuition, do you?
No. And your beginner golfers, a lot of the conversations that you have with them are more of concepts. What are they trying to do? How am I trying to influence what they do? I don't necessarily need to explain to them why I'm doing something, whereas with a scratch golfer I perhaps do, because they question it.
Yes.
Why do you want me to do this? How is it going to influence ball flight? How is it going to change the path or the face relationship? Mm-hmm. Whereas with the beginner golfers, they don't really care. You know, they just want to absolutely. They just want to hit the ball in the air consistently, or more consistent than they do now. Yeah. Yeah. So your conversation change. Their expectations are different to scratch golfers, and for me, honestly, I don't really care. I'm coaching. No. Because it's part of me giving back to golf. Yeah. And that's sort of all I want to do. I've had people who've been around me when I was a junior who, you know, spent time with me for free, you know, and helped me. And I spent a lot of time with people who were a lot better than me. And I spent time with a guy who was playing on tour as a junior. And I was trying to be around him as much as I could because I wanted to be around people who were better than me. Yeah. And I think he always gave me the time of day, and he helped me loads. So I think now that I'm in a position to help other people, it's like second nature for me. I wouldn't question it, and I wouldn't not help anyone because I'm not being paid for it. Yeah. And like I said to you, it's not about the money for me. Obviously, it is to a degree because that's how I earn my living. Yeah, but if you know, I've lots of times where I'll be between lessons, and some of the juniors will come in and they're really struggling, and we have 5 minutes in here. You know, and then they go back out, and then they get to enjoy their golf a little bit more, and that it helps me as well because they have the 5 minutes, and you know, then they want to come and have a lesson. Exactly. And so it's, you know, you give 5 minutes and then you gain a bit back as well, and it's give and take.
Business is business at the end of the day, isn't it? You know, you can't give your advice and your knowledge for free.
No, often you do as a golf coach,
but then you entice back, don't you? You know, with that, not that you've enticed me back, but if it wasn't for you, my 2 kids wouldn't have continued with golf. 100%.
See, that's great for me.
100%. Nancy wants to. Yeah. Nancy loves you to pieces. She wants to play golf more, but she does ballet and acro. She's got other commitments that you know, take priority.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. They should all be doing loads of sports.
Junior coaching down here. It was what you set up 2 summers ago now, I think it was.
Yeah, so I've run them for a couple of summers. It's tricky, obviously. The first summer that I did the junior coaching, some weeks we had like 15 kids, and I was doing it on my own, so it was chaos.
Yeah. Of the organisation of that, I just had to look away sometimes. Yeah. I couldn't. No, it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean it was chaos, but that was the first time that any junior coaching had been set up here for quite a number of years. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of like a suck it and see moment, you know, set it up, we'll get some junior equipment in, we'll set it up on a Saturday and we'll see what happens. Yeah. And some weeks was great, we'd have 6 or 8 kids and it was perfect, ran lovely. And other times there was 15 kids and it's bonkers. You know, I'm trying to drag parents in to help, and it's tough, but the second year, which was this year, obviously we split it up into 2 groups, had maximum of 8, and it ran a little more smoothly. I'd like to introduce a little bit more consistency in the junior coaching, but it's been tough. It has been
with COVID and everything. It's not been the easiest of the last 2-3 years, has it really?
No, it hasn't, mate. It's been a tricky task, and I think with obviously the commitments that I have as well, like through the summer with me playing, and
on top of all this, you've got to practice and you've got to compete.
Yeah.
On top of all this other stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, like obviously training, like I'm actively training a lot and I'm practicing a lot, and I mean this time of year, when it starts to quieten off, is better for me because I can spend a little bit more time on my own game and on my training, and then I just try to maintain as best I can through the summer months. But you know, golf's a very seasonal sport. And
do you think you do your work over the winter? Is that where do you think you improve most over the winter in golf?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit weather, can't always practice.
Yeah, because you're in a controlled environment. So for me, like I'll come in here, you know, I set the fly scope up to 25 degrees and no wind, and I come in here, and obviously if I get the heaters on, I can hit balls in a t-shirt, and you know, I've got the camera set up, and you know, and I've got my data from the launch monitor, and all of a sudden it's like that. I've created a space for me to learn quicker. Yeah. Whereas if I go out on the range and it's -3, and
it's not fun, is it?
No, it isn't.
As much as you love golf, it's not fun.
It's not fun, but there's been plenty of times where we've done it. Obviously, the flight scope that we've had, we got that in April. We had an older flight scope in before, which was nowhere near as good. and it mismeasured a lot, so it was tricky to improve. But even without the launch monitors, I think for people who want to improve, for me through the winter I'll do a lot of technical based stuff. So block practice, do a lot of rehearsals. I'm trying to make technical changes, and then when we start getting past Christmas and into the new year, you're trying to introduce some performance games and random practice to try and simulate playing golf.
Is all your winter season structured? Practice structured?
Yeah, pretty much.
By your coach?
Pretty much, yeah. So, but we have discussions together. I think it helps with me being a coach as well. So we can sort of go through it and we discuss ideas, and you know, he's been around a long time and he's a fantastic coach. He teaches a lot of really, really talented players. And I'm picking his brains all the time, but I do that with anyone really, because I don't like not knowing. I like to know.
Yeah. Where and why.
Yeah, and it helps me with my coaching journey. So I've always tried to seek out the most knowledgeable people.
Does that run down? Does your coach's techniques inspire you on how to coach, or have you got your own sort of?
Yeah, I would say that there's definitely things that I pick up. I don't necessarily coach to a mould. There's certain things that are definites for me in a golf swing, which I always push people to do, but I think they're very generic.
Right. Okay.
And I think everyone would sort of have those.
I like the simplicity as well.
I think it has to be, but there's a sort of there's a type of person that it needs to be simple, and there's a type of person that it needs to be in depth.
Yeah.
And
you need to be a good judge of character as well, don't you?
Yeah, mate. Golf. I think for me, golf coaching is fantastic because the amount of different sort of personalities that I've met, and obviously I've not been coaching in a long time. Obviously, I passed my training in October, just gone. So, obviously, I did my exams in August, July, August, and then my final coaching exam was done in October, I believe, September, October, something like that. So, I've only been coaching like a couple of years. So I'm still in terms of a coaching journey. I'm still very new to this, but even before I turned pro, I was always trying to have a good understanding of the golf swing. I never had loads of money, and I always wanted to help myself rather than. Well, I couldn't afford to keep paying coaches every week, so I had to sort of figure it out on my own. So the more knowledge that I could acquire myself, the better I felt I could be. And then obviously going down the PGA route and doing my training, obviously I learnt a lot through that. I learnt an awful lot through coaching. I've been to see a lot of coaches over the years, and they all have their own little things that they do.
Have you got separate coaches? Have you got like a putting coach and a swing coach, or do you use one?
So I see one coach for my long game, and I see another coach for putting. So I have two coaches.
Wow.
I think a lot of guys do the same thing.
Yeah. It's just weird that one coach can't do.
I'm sure they can. I'm fairly confident. I think both my coaches, both will. Obviously, my long game coach will give putting lessons.
Right. Okay.
And my putting coach, I'm sure he does long game lessons.
Is that the specialisation sort
Absolutely, yeah.
Are you going to go down that route, or are you in that route now? Do you specialise over one thing?
No, but I think that's just because of how early I am in my career.
Still finding your feet in.
Yeah, I am, and I think I'm trying to figure out what I enjoy doing the most. Still.
Yeah, that's a big aspect of it.
Yeah,
that's a big aspect.
But no, I enjoy coaching all areas of the game and all abilities of golfer. So I think that sort of stands me in good stead because I've never really sort of shied away from teaching a specific type of golfer or a specific area of golf, and that's, I think the PGA pushes you to be more like that, more of a well-rounded coach,
versatile in everything.
And I think that helped me here, and you know, I sort of see myself as a service. I'm a service to the members of Newark Golf Club. Obviously, I coach a lot of players who aren't members here, but you know, anyone who's a member here, I would like to think that I would be able to help them with their golf game.
Yeah, 100%. You've got a lot of good offers on at the minute, haven't you? So if we hurry up and if I hurry up and get this banged out,
Yeah.
obviously there's a lot of decent offers
Yeah.
that you've got on at the minute. One of the best things I've ever done with you is a 9-hole playing lesson.
Mm.
The following, I went out with Tom for 9 holes. It's like, my game's shit. Like, let's have a look. We need a bit more than 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, right, let's go and play 9 holes.
Yeah.
And have it, every aspect of it. But it was more focused around the course management with what we did. I know you teach a lot of people and play a lot of shots, and it's like the thinking process of from one shot to the next. The following week, I shot a PB, and it's like it's well worth it. Yeah. It's well worth it, even if you can just afford 30 minutes. But if you can get a 9-hole lesson in, I think it's just so it covers everything.
Yeah,
everything.
They've been probably the most beneficial lessons that I do with people generally.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys who I give 9-hole playing lessons to, I've probably already given them a couple of lessons at least before. But often, it's not your technique that's not allowing you to score, it's your decision making.
Yeah.
And I think if you can make good decisions, you can basically optimise the game that you've got on the day, because every day is different, right? Yeah. So some days you go on the range and you're hitting it terrible, and other days you go on the range and you're hitting it brilliant. But if you're hitting it brilliant and your decision making is terrible, you're probably not going to score well. But if you're hitting it terrible and your decision making is golden, you're probably going to score all right.
There's so many different fucking aspects.
Yeah,
it's my head talking about it. It really does.
But most people, look, for me as a coach, and when someone comes in for a first lesson, I'll always ask them sort of, what's your goals and what are you trying to achieve? And probably the most common thing that I hear back is, I want to be more consistent, right? Well, golf isn't a consistent game. But what happens over a period of time is your worst rounds get better and your good rounds get better. But you've still got, like, let's say someone comes into me and their worst round is 100 and their best round is 85, right? So what happens over a period of time is their worst round becomes 90 and their best round becomes 75.
That's what's happened to me.
Yeah. So you're still not consistent. You're as consistent as you was at the start of your journey, but you're just better.
But even the tour pros.
Same.
Same. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, their margins are a little tighter, and that sort of tends to happen the better that you get. You know, people, top guys. I don't know, but the number one player in the world, I think the scoring average is like 68 point something, right? So at some point during the season, they're probably going to shoot 60, and at some point during the season, they're probably going to shoot 80.
Yeah.
So from worst to best score is like 20 shots.
Yeah.
Which is, they're not consistent, right? They shoot a similar score more times than not, but they've still got the 80 and they've still got the 60.
Did you see Rich Shields at Sillith?
No.
The Break 75?
No.
Every Friday he does a Break 75 episode where he goes to... And I watched... I'm going to Sillith in May. And so I think his handicap is +2 or +4.
Okay.
And he attempts to break 75. 89. And it's like, on paper, this guy should be shooting... I think it was a 71, par 71.
Yeah.
He should be shooting 68, 67.
Yeah.
And he's going 20 odd shots over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if this can happen to these people, again, going back to my experience with golf and your shit at golf, Steve, it's a case of, look, these guys can't do it. Don't beat yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a really big lesson. Really big lesson. How hard is it to get into the PGA then, for a coaching or to get your PGA card? For anyone that's watching that aspires to be like Tom.
Hard is probably the...
Is it?
Yeah. There's multiple stages of qualification. Obviously, you enter and you go and do your best. But I don't know. I've never done it. I've never been to the PGA Tour qualifying. I'm on
about for your card because you're a PGA pro, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is that?
Oh, so you mean for my training?
Yeah, it's just anything, because you're a PGA professional. How hard is it to get that certification of being a PGA pro?
So it's a degree course, right? So you start in year 1 and you basically do 3 years, a degree course. I did mine at the University of Birmingham.
Have you got a playing ability before you go in that?
You do, but it depends on your handicap. So because I was in plus figures when I turned pro, I didn't have to do it. I think now, if you're off I think when I turned pro, it was if you was scratch or better, you didn't have to do a playing ability.
Right.
But I think now it might be 2 or 3 handicap.
So you need to be a scratch golfer near enough.
Yeah, well, I think you could, when I did it, you could turn pro off 4, but if you was between 4 and 0, you had to do a playing ability.
Really?
And it was like, I don't know the ins and outs, but I think it was like over 36 holes. And you had to, I don't know, mate. I never had to do it. I just been speaking to people who have had to do it, but I was fortunate enough to have to do it. But
that must be a lot of pressure for them guys. That.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think it's if you fail it, then it's like no.
Oh right.
I think it's like you might get multiple attempts, or you maybe get like your first attempt is funded by the PGA, and every attempt after that you have to pay. I don't know.
Right, okay.
I really don't know.
So what's your first year then for the degree?
So first year is you basically run the same things all year. So it's every year. Sorry. So you'll do like a coaching module. You'll do a sports science module. You'll do a business module. You do a equipment.
Is it a business model? Is that because you're going to be a self-employed coach and?
Whatever avenue you go down.
Right, okay,
so you could be like a PGA professional who goes into golf club management, or you could be a PGA professional who goes into running their own golf shop, or a PGA professional who only coaches. Yeah. But it's just about the business aspect of being a PGA pro. But there's all sorts like that. You do an equipment technology module, which was really interesting for me. I love doing equipment like repairs, and I love the way that how equipment can influence ball flight. That's super interesting for me. And then year 1 we did rules, but then you don't do rules after year 1. You do your rules exam in year 1, and then once you've done that, that's it. And then in year 2 and 3 it's very much the same. So you do the same modules again, but it's just a bit more in depth. Your exams get harder. My whole course was massively disrupted with COVID. I turned pro in September 2019.
Right, okay, bang on the...
Yeah, and I think March 20 was the first lockdown, so I literally did my first year residential, which was a great week. So anyone doing their training, go do your residential. It's fantastic. After the first year residential, we sort of came back, obviously, to our golf club, and then got locked down. So all my year 1 exams got cancelled, and basically how you did in your assignments, you then basically passed or failed. So if you passed your assignments, you went into year 2. If you didn't, you have to resit. And then year 2, got through year 2, there was, I think, the same amount of assignments. You do 1 for each module. And then all my exams got put online. And it was like the first time ever that the PGA had done online exams, because there was still COVID. The Belfry couldn't have us in to do the exams with all the, 1 metre apart and all that jazz. And then year 3 was very much the same. So COVID's still kicking about. We got asked if we wanted to attend our residential, but with COVID and everything, and I was super busy with coaching, so I decided to stay and earn some money rather than sort of go in and doing my residential. And I felt like it was a safer option. Yeah. And then all my exams for year 3 were done online as well. So throughout my whole course, all my written exams were done online. My practical exams were way different. Obviously, I've got a lot of friends who passed their training a few years ago, and they were sort of doing their one-to-one sessions for their coaching was like a 2-day thing. So they went and then they did their training, and then the next day they did their lesson, and then they either passed or failed. Right.
What's a practical exam then? What's involved?
So the coaching exam, so when you do your level 1 coaching, that's like group coaching. So this is sort of how the whole COVID thing sort of disrupted us. So in years gone by, your year 1 coaching exam, from what I've been told, was you would basically do a group coaching session for like 8 other assistants, and you would run a safe session, and you would do putting or whatever you'd do, and then you would be assessed on it. So when I did mine, I had to do a group coaching session, but just for one person, because we couldn't have a group. We could only so I had to do a group coaching session for one person plus an assessor. So obviously got through that okay, and then in year 2 you do your level 2 coaching exam, which is 1-to-1. That basically gives you the qualification to coach 1-to-1. Is
that a 30-minute sort of?
Yeah, so we had to do it. I don't know what they've done in years gone by for this in terms of the time, but I know that what they used to do was like it'd be over 2 days. There'd be like 6 of you in the group, and you would go on like a Monday, and they would teach you, this is what you're going to do in your exam, blah blah blah, and then the next day you would sit your exam, and then they would tell you if you passed or failed. Well, we basically got given all of the information through the online portal, learn this, and then turn up at this time on this day. You're going to do a 15-minute lesson with one of the other assistants who were there on the day, and then you're going to get told if you've passed or failed, and then you're basically going to leave. So yeah, it changed an awful lot. Obviously the PGA did a fantastic job getting us through the training, because it could have been easy for them to just deter us until COVID had passed and then sort of restart, but it maybe worked out better for them. I don't know how many people were in my year group, but I'm going to guess at probably a couple hundred. And to have all those people in at the Belfry must have cost them a lot of money for exams, and obviously to just put them online, I would have thought saved them a bit of money, so maybe helped them a bit as well. But mate, I'm just pleased to have sort of come through it unscathed, and
it's nice.
Got my exams done, and now I can...
That's it, you've got your qualification now, haven't you?
Yeah, well now I can sort of become the person who I want to become. I think when you're doing your training, you're sort of dictated to by the PGA of what you're going to be, because you basically have to do the training. You know, you do what you're told to do, and then when you've passed, then you can go down your own avenue.
Would you like to have your own sort of school one day? Be a head pro, or are you...
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly at some point like to put someone through their training. I would like to oversee somebody doing their training.
Obviously, you've got TB Golf, haven't you now? That's your brand.
Yes, that's my brand.
A sort of thing.
Yeah.
So where's that go? What visions have you got for your brand?
It's sort of, it's more of the TB Golf. It's more for, it's a personal brand, right? So like people see my logo and they associate it with me, and it's just me. Like I like having the logo where it's like if people see it, they know that that's me. I'm not there yet. Obviously, no. It's not like, you know.
TW.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Everyone knows TW.
Yeah, but it's like I say, it's still super new for me. I'm only sort of beginning this journey.
It's so interesting to sit down and chat with you at the start of this journey. Well, relative to the start of this journey you're going on.
Yeah.
Because I think you're going to have a really, really good 3 to 5 years personally.
Thank you.
And it'd be nice to hook back up in a couple of years.
See where we are.
Right, this is what we chatted shit about. What have we done with it? It'd be quite nice.
No, I think it would. And it'd be interesting to see sort of what's developed and all the things that are happening now. You know, like I said, your coaching and your career evolve, and I never know what's round the corner really.
I like that though.
Yeah.
I find that stuff exciting.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'm an electrician at 19. That's it.
Yeah.
I was going to be an electrician for the next 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
There's more to life than that.
Yeah, but whatever. You know, some people, if they've decided at 19 they want to be an electrician and that's what they love, great. For me, I want to come to work and it not feel like work, and that's where I am right now. I might end up coaching full time. I might end up playing full time. I might end up having my own academy. You know, I don't know. I might end up having my own golf school. I might end up working for the PGA. I just don't know.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that I'm going to be doing something that I enjoy.
Exactly.
And if I don't enjoy it, I won't be doing it.
No, exactly.
And
what a great outlook. 30 years old as well.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you caught it young enough.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
You can enjoy your life that you make of it.
Yeah. And things might change.
Yeah.
You know, and you just don't know. You just don't know what's around the corner.
Not a lot of people can handle that, you know, not knowing.
Whatever.
I think it takes a certain breed of person to just go through life, whatever. You know, you've got your foundation in place.
Yeah.
And then it's just like wherever life's going to take me, you should enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and I think for me, I've always sort of been that way. I've never really got too bogged down with things. I'm a big believer of that everything happens for a reason, and life's full of ups and downs.
I did an electrical company. It was quite successful. I just packed all that in to go and help dogs, rescue dogs.
Yeah.
I never thought 6 months prior to that I'd ever quit, but it's something I wanted to do at that point in life, and it took me on another avenue.
And it's amazing how things then develop from there.
Yeah.
And it'll be the same with me. You know, you just don't know. I mean, I might start coaching a junior who then ends up being the next big thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm coaching on tour. You don't know.
No.
You really don't know.
No.
But I always treat people how I would like to be treated. And I've met some fantastic people. Obviously the the owner of Code. Or
yeah,
the
I was just going to
co-owner
dive
of Code.
into that a little bit. What's CF Golfer all about then?
So when I moved to Coddington with my girlfriend, we moved in November. I was training at Kinetic in Lincoln, and it was a bit too far for me to sort of go back to Lincoln then come back. So I was sort of looking for a new place to train, and it just sort of so happened that Luke, who's a co-owner at Code, he joined the golf club, and I got talking to him and started coaching him, and he sort of we had a bit of a chat just like what we're having, and one thing led to another, and he said that he'd really like to help me out, and that's sort of how that relationship developed. So Code have looked after me with membership. Luke looks after me with my training.
Is that your PT now?
Yeah, I don't have PTs with Luke.
Right,
I don't have PTs with anyone. Luke looks after my training program.
Right. Yeah.
I've trained long enough now to
Didn't
be able
know
to
what
go
to
into
do.
the gym and do my own thing. But he is a very, very knowledgeable person. And
Does it tailor it around golf?
yeah, so it's all specific to me. And then I go in the gym and we do phases. So, we'll do a strength phase, we'll do a plyometrics phase, we'll do all these different phases that basically prepares me for where I am. So, like for right now, I'm not in peak season, so we do something different. And when we're in peak season, we'll do maintenance. And, your coaching, your training evolves just like your practice evolves.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how that came about, and then Luke wanted to sort of get involved with golf, so he came out with CF Golfer, and he started to try and push the brand out there. So obviously he's had a collaboration with Wilson, which works out perfect for me because obviously,
Has he?
yeah. So there's the gentleman in the gym who I mentioned at the start of the podcast, who's the head of Wilson for Europe. He is a member at the gym and obviously is good friends with Luke. That's how they know each other. So then when Luke sort of came out with CF Golfer, he had a chat with him, and that's how that relationship developed. And then obviously that worked perfect for me because Wilson look after my hardware, and then Luke looks after my clothing. So to have CF Golfer that's in a collaboration with Wilson,
That's perfect, isn't it?
yeah, it works brilliantly for me. But no, honestly, mate, I've been super lucky with all these things, and even like with Jason, after my first year of training, the golf club decided that they was going to restructure, so they made everyone redundant. So after my first year of training, I didn't know what I was going to do. Jason came in and he employed me, so obviously Jason was a massive help. And then obviously I got introduced to Wilson through Jason. We'd never done Wilson in the shop before. Jason was he'd always done Wilson. He's pushed Wilson a lot over his years as a pro, so he had a good relationship with the rep. So then I got introduced to the rep, and that's how that came about. And it's always sort of like being in the right place at the right time around the right people.
It is.
But no, the relationships I have with Luke and with the guys at Wilson, it's evolved over the past couple of years. And they, at the start, I felt like I had to sort of tiptoe around because only because I felt like I was onto such a good thing, and I was sort of
don't want to mess it up.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like they've become friends. So like a lot, like if I'm ever short of things, I remember, I was like mid-season and my putter broke. So it's like I was like, what am I going to do? I've got no putter. So like I just messaged the guys, and it's like, this is the situation, and they've shipped me one out like a couple of days later, which is fantastic.
You can't say fairer than that.
No, so they've been a massive help for me.
Do they try and push clubs on? Not push clubs, but have they got a new driver coming out this year?
Yes, they obviously.
Or January, is it, when the drivers drop?
Yeah, I don't think the drivers drop till March.
Right, okay. But will you be given a driver and say, have it a blast?
So I'll go for a fitting, and check it out. The reviews on it, obviously they've done some prototypes.
Yep.
The reviews on it and the information around it at the minute is fantastic. I don't know how much I can say about it because I know that
that's fine.
Obviously it hasn't been released yet.
Is this where your data nerd comes in, where it's like new driver? Let's have a look at the data and the stats. And
oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I love things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy with my equipment.
I mean, do you use Wilson wedges as well?
I use Wilson wedges, Wilson irons. I'm in the Wilson 3-wood. I'm in the Wilson utility iron, so the driving iron. I'm not in the driver. I'm in the putter, but obviously the driver could change this year.
Yeah.
I mean I use obviously the ball and the bag.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about performance, right? Yeah. And
it's your career at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, and for me, the whole of the Wilson setup has been a game changer for me. I wouldn't use a product if I didn't believe in it, and I genuinely believe that it's a brilliant product. It's won more majors than any other brand. That's sort of what they pride themselves.
Has it really?
Yeah.
You see, I always feel a bit sorry for Wilson.
Why?
Because even for me, I'm semi-knowledgeable on golf and brands and that sort of thing. But they never enter my... If you said, right, name 5 golfing brands.
Yeah.
Callaway, TaylorMade, Pink Top. They never seem to be... Is that a marketing... I don't want you to slag Wilson off. I'm not slagging Wilson off at all. I've never used the clubs. I'm not commenting. Your clubs are far better than what I could ever hit. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a disrespect for Wilson.
Yeah.
But I think they lack on a bit of marketing as a consumer.
Yeah.
That's all I'm speaking as.
Do you know what? I think, obviously, when you look at the likes of Callaway and TaylorMade, they're in golf, right? When you look at Wilson, they're in
tennis,
badminton. Yeah. They're in squash. They're in
That's
basketball.
why I don't associate them with...
Yeah, so I'm not involved on that side. I'm not involved with the promotional side of Wilson. Obviously, they're big with golf. They've got some big players. But I don't know, but it might be more of an American thing. You might see more of them push the American side of Wilson. I don't know. Yeah. Admittedly, you don't see... Obviously, I follow all the Wilson channels, right? So I see it on social media because I follow it. But, you don't necessarily see it on the telly as much as you maybe might see some of the other brands.
But it never... For that sort of stat... to have the most tour wins in history.
Most major wins.
Most major wins. It's like that it should be the first in anyone's head.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No. I'm not part of the marketing team.
No, I know. I was just it's just an observation that I've made as a consumer for Wilson.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you. I feel like being around it and being around the product and being around the reps and being involved. The customer service is fantastic, the way they turn around products. I mean, we can get products in quicker than any other brand for Wilson. They always seem to have plenty of stock in. The golf clubs, the hardware itself are fantastic. The reviews that they do, they're outperforming their competitors. Yeah. Maybe it should be shoved in your face a little bit more.
I think it should. Because everything nowadays is shoved in your face.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I think that's why I try to push people towards it. I think sometimes it's a hard sell for me because I think people see it as you're trying to push me into Wilson because you play Wilson, but a lot of times it's not. I'm trying to push you into Wilson because it's the best product for you.
I play Wilson, I know Wilson, I am part of Wilson, this club will suit you.
Yeah.
It's, I don't think it's a hard sale, it's just an experienced sale.
Yeah, and I think from fitting people and, talking to people and the way Wilson budget, the pricing of their clubs is fantastic. They're not overpriced. They're just a really good brand. They offer clubs from complete beginners, package sets, all the way up to bladed irons, and they just do the full range. So it's been really good for me.
Do you do club fitting as well then?
So I do all club fittings. I'd say 90% of the club fittings here. I'll do them in here, and then we might narrow it down to 2 or 3 clubs, and then we'll go out on the range and hit some balls and check.
What's the club fitting entail then? Because it's always something that has perked my ears up. It's like, should I go and see how wrong my current clubs are?
I think I would. If people are going to get new clubs, get them fit.
Yeah.
Because it just takes the guesswork out. And I think regardless of who fits you, I think if somebody who's a PGA pro fits you, they're gonna have the knowledge to fit you into the right.
Hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, you would. And for me, golf clubs are super expensive. So why would you buy a set of brand new clubs that potentially might not be right for you? Yeah. Most places, we don't charge a fitting fee if you buy the clubs through us. So there is a fee if you don't, which is a standard, I would assume. So you think if you're in the market for a new set of clubs, you may as well go and get fit because it doesn't cost you anything. It costs you 30 minutes of your time.
Yeah. And that's one. I know it's not a fitting, but it's sort of fittings is driven by data, isn't it?
Yes.
And one of the biggest changes you've made to me was we had half an hour in here. It's like, Steve, you need stiff shafts. I'm playing regular shafts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I'll pick a club up. So I've got a second-hand club. World of difference.
Yeah.
World of difference.
Yeah.
And that cost me 25 quid or something like that, 20 quid in 30 minutes. And it's like, wow. So if you're serious at golf, or not serious, I'm not a serious golfer, but I want to improve. I have aspirations of being a single figure handicap golfer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't laugh. Not too hard anyway. I don't know if that's possible in the realms or not, but it's something that I'm going to focus on. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's 20 years, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to keep knocking. I've lost my thread now. When I go back to our shit I'm at golf, it
Throws
knocks
you
me
off.
Yeah. What was I saying?
Look, mate, I would, if you, for anyone, I always feel like if you're in sport and you're having lessons, that for me suggests that you're trying to get as good as you can get. So it's like, for me, you should have a long-term goal of scratch golfer, right? And then you have these intermediate goals.
I'm not fussed about scratch, but single figure.
But I think you would be, right? I think
if I went from sort of like a 14 down to a 7,
then
I'd
you
be
think,
like,
ooh, actually,
it's only 7 shots, like only.
Yeah.
But I've heard that getting from 5 to scratch is a lot harder from 28 to 10.
Yeah, it is. It's tough, but golf's hard, and that's just the reality of it, mate. I think that for me, I love people when they come in here and they're pretty new to golf and they're like, mate, I want to win it miles. I want to be off. I want to be a Category 1 golfer, and I want to be brilliant, because it's like, right, that's the long-term goal. Now let's break it down, right? Where are we now?
Yeah.
What's your scoring average now? What sort of scores are you shooting? Let's break the 100 barrier, then let's break 95, then 90. And we'll just keep chipping away.
Yeah.
And you never know. You just never know. And like you say, your expectations change, and
I can't see myself. The only thing that does hinder my progression, I think, is money.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm here for an hour, I'm not earning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I'm self-employed. It's quite a stress. I'm the only breadwinner as well in the family because we home educate. And I think that's my only drawback to stopping me progression.
Mm-hmm.
But hypothetical situation, if I says to you, right, Tom, I'm going to have 1 hour lesson with you per week and 1 9-hole playing lesson per week.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've got the athletic capability. I'm quite a switched-on person. I take in information well.
Mm-hmm.
How long would you think it would take me with you for 1 hour and 1 9-hole lesson per week to get to single figures? 'Cause I think it's possible. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing, someone like yourself can do that I can't. We've both got hands and arms.
Yeah. I get you. I think let's break it down, right? So you have X amount of hours in a week that you've got to work, and you've got your family commitments, and then you've got your hour with me in the studio, and then you've got your 2 hours on the golf course, right? So you've got 3 hours. How many other hours in the week have you got spare? Because for me, I would say what dictates your success in terms of the time frame will be dictated to from what you do in those other hours. It won't be the hour that we do in here, or the 2 hours that we do on the golf course. It's what else do you do. So it's like when you're on a training program, right? Your PTs will say to you, it's not what you do in the gym, it's what you eat for the other 23 hours in the day. And that's like the situation here. So it's like, if we go on the course for 9 holes, I think weekly sessions are overdone, because we'll do some stuff in a week, and I don't believe personally that you have enough time and enough practice time between the end of our session and the start of the next session. I don't think a week is long enough for you to achieve what you need to do. I always sort of push people into 2 to 4 weeks, depending on their practice time that's available to them.
Do you think it's achievable over 12 months to 18 months?
Absolutely, yes. 100%.
Dear, I'm currently 22 now. You think we could drop 12 shots in a year?
Yes. With the right work ethic, I think we'd have to put a plan together, of course, and we'd have to sit down and make sure that every week is going to be accounted for.
Or a check-in at least.
Yeah, and a check-in. What have you done this week? What's gone well, what hasn't? It's the same as when somebody decides that over the next 12 months I'm going to do a photo shoot. They go, because I know you're into your training, so you go, right, well, I've got 12 months. This is my start point. This is my end goal. Then you break it down month to month, and you might break it down week to week. So you go, right, I've got 52 weeks. What do I need to do? Because when you think of it like that, and you go 52 weeks, it's quite a long time, really, isn't it?
But it's not.
No, it isn't.
In that respect, it's...
But if you account every week as these are the goals I'm going to achieve this week. So like I do it with my practice. So it's like every week, it's like I need to spend X amount hitting balls. I need to spend X amount putting. I need to spend X amount chipping, and I need to play 18 holes a week through the winter. And then at the end of the week, I look in my diary and I go, right, I've done more of this, I've done less of that, I've done X, Y, Z. And I check it off. So then all my practice is accounted for when I get to April. So I go, right, did I achieve my practice goals? Did I achieve my targets week to week from now until the start of April for when the golf season starts? Yeah, the answer might be yes, the answer might be no. But I can influence that because I'm holding myself accountable by putting goals in place week to week, and that'll be the same with you. So you come to me with a hefty goal and you go, I'm off 22 and I need to be single figures. Can I drop 12 shots in a year? And we go, right, well, let's break it down. So we've got to drop one shot a month. Yeah. You haven't because the golf season is only 6 months of the year. But you go, even that, I've got to drop 2 shots a month, and I've got 4. Let's say that you've got 4 tournaments per month. So you're trying to lose half a shot per tournament. Is that unrealistic? No. Maybe to do it every tournament, yes, because like we said, sometimes you shoot 90, sometimes you shoot 75, right? So it's when you break it down, you go, if someone came in and said, "Oh, I've lost 12 shots in a year," I'd say, "Mate, that is a great effort, congratulations." But if they then broke it down and said, "Well, this is what I did this month, this is what I did this month."
Yeah, it doesn't seem that great, does it?
No.
I'd love to do that. I can't, but I would love to record that for a year. Of like every session with you, every coaching session with you. Just record it and see how we progress. Because then you won't notice anything, would you? But then at the start of it, you put this first one and the last one together. It's like big difference. Yeah. Big difference. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a lot. I've had people say to me before, golf swings don't win tournaments, but for me, good technique outperforms bad technique every time. So and it's the same in any sport. You put someone who's got all other things being equal. Obviously, the mental side of golf is massive. But if you gave someone the same mental game and you played someone with poor technique compared to someone with good technique, the guy with good technique is going to win all the time. Yeah. So the mental side of your game is obviously from your decision making, hence the 9-hole lessons. You couple those two things together with an improvement of technique and an improvement in decision making. There's no way you can't get better. No. But if it was that easy, everyone would be tour pros.
Exactly. Have you seen that thing that Tiger's doing at the minute with Charlie? What do you think of Charlie?
I think he looks fantastic.
Doesn't he just?
Yeah.
But I love, obviously, Tiger Woods, arguably one of the best golfers ever lived. Yeah. But he's like telling Charlie not to copy his swing. It says copy Rory. Have you seen that?
I have. I've seen the quote.
Yeah, and it's like, that must take a lot. Because as a dad, your son should look up to you. And Tiger's took all the ego away. And it's like, don't copy me, he's got a better swing. Follow him. Yeah. And that other thing about the mental, that's reminded me of the mental game. He's trying to get into Charlie's head, isn't he? Have you seen stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, my dad used to do it to me.
Did he? And along the basis of, if I can't get into his head, no one else will.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
And I think that's a really, really good way of parenting. Yeah. But what are sort of like... Charlie's going to be a golfer.
He already is a golfer.
Yeah.
He's serious.
Yeah. He's a legit superstar in the making, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Do you think that'd be kind of hard? Would you like that? If your dad was Tiger Woods, would you be always in the shadow, do you think? And
I don't know. I think maybe... I don't know. No. I don't know the family. But I think maybe if I was put in that situation, maybe you would want to think, right, well, I'm going to try and make it about me. I'm going to try and break my dad's records. I'm going to, I don't know.
It must be daunting now, stood on the tee against Tiger Woods' son.
Yeah, no doubt.
You're going to have that surname, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. But what an opportunity to have, right? Can you imagine?
No.
It's like, if for me, I think, God, if my dad was, a Tiger Woods equivalent, you know, to have that opportunity, I think like even for me, to grow up around, in my eyes, the greatest golfer, you'd have a tough time not to become
a golfer,
like a serious golfer,
yeah,
because you're around it.
Do you think Tiger Woods has a lot of natural talent? See, that's another one. How far does natural talent go in golf?
I think when you read the stories and the books about Tiger Woods, yes, obviously he had talent. He's a talented golfer, but talent doesn't win you anything.
No, but natural talent as well. How much DNA is passed down to Charlie from Tiger? It's like, do you think it's in your DNA to swing an object like that? Because we've been swinging objects since the dawn of day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a natural thing for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyone can swing a golf club. Whether you can hit a ball or not, it's a different thing. But anyone can swing a golf club.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much of that is natural talent?
I think it comes down to your understanding, doesn't it? And I think if you've, like for me, with Charlie Woods, if he's had the greatest player in the game saying, no, that's not quite right, do this from 2 or 3 or 4 years old.
But also surrounding yourself by these guys.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's down to the people that you surround
And
you with.
where he is in the world, you know, he ain't going to walk out the house and it's -5, you know, and he walks out into his garden. Tiger Woods, I mean, look, I'm guessing, but I think I've seen somewhere that he's got like a 3-hole golf course in his garden or something, whatever he has got. You know, there's sort of no excuses, really.
Not to become a golfer?
Yeah, but it's down to him, isn't it? He has to, obviously he has to work hard. And
I think Tiger's doing that really well. I think he's pushing him for his own individuality, isn't he?
Yeah.
Rather than just like being the son of Tiger.
Yeah, I don't... Look, I don't know. I just think Charlie's going to do his own thing. I think Tiger Woods is going to push him as far as he feels like he needs to push him. But ultimately, it's Charlie's decision. Obviously, he's a young man now. You know, when he's 16, 17, 18... and
What is he now, 13?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know. But, you know, when he's 21 and alcohol and women and... Yeah, it's a big thing.
Don't be like Dad.
Well, look, everyone makes mistakes and everyone's going to make their own decisions and you just got to live with them. Yeah. And Charlie's going to decide what he wants to do, isn't he? Ultimately, no one else can decide. He's his own person.
I really hope he does take the
I
field.
hope he does.
I really do. It'll be so nice to keep that legacy.
Yeah.
You know, because Nicky, you know, should be watching Charlie now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, like watch Tiger? It's like, it'd be nice to have this... Well, I watched his dad, actually.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have that sort of continued throughout, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Has there been heritage in golf? Has there been a lineal family in golf that you know of?
I don't think I've been around it at golf long enough to know that.
No.
There is... There obviously is.
So John Daly is some plays as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
But I didn't know if there's been an outstanding sort of family...
No. I know of one family where they've got maybe there's like 2 or 3 of them. It might be one of the ladies on tour has got like 2 brothers who are also playing on tour, or something like that.
it's Minwoo Lee.
Yeah.
His sister.
Yeah. But
She
I don't know in
plays.
terms of like
Dad and son, mother, daughter, whatever.
I really don't know. It's not really something that I've ever really worried about. It's, you know, I just...
First time we mention mother and daughter, let's go on to women. How do you think women's golf is being pushed in the last sort of 2 to 3 years?
I think that women's golf has grown massively. Obviously, there's some influential women around on social media that have helped grow the game. I think the women's golf is brilliant. I think the way that they play the game, the way they conduct themselves.
I think the women's tours as well are getting more coverage, more televised coverage.
Yeah.
And I quite like it.
Yeah,
I quite like it.
Yeah, it's gone like the women's football. You know, it's gaining traction all the time.
Can't stand it.
Really?
I hate it.
Yeah, see, I don't mind it, and I just enjoy. I think I just enjoy sport in general.
I love UFC. UFC is my sort of bag.
Yeah.
I really struggle watching women fight. It's just, I don't know. It's just something. But I love watching women golf.
Yeah.
It's just something about, I don't know. But it's quite an interesting thing on the growth of. We've got loads of members here, and I think I love to see the lady golf because they have weekly competitions, don't they?
Yeah. So that the women play on a Tuesday. They have their own competitions. They have their own section. They basically do their own thing.
I think we had quite a few female juniors as well.
Yeah, we've got a few. We've got a few. Not loads, but we've got a few.
I'd like to see more young girls and women getting into golf. It's quite stereotypical, isn't it? It's like a posh man's game.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's not. I'm not posh.
Yeah, it's changed an awful lot.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah, over the last 10 years, it's changed a lot. There's been big developments in the game and how the governing bodies are growing the game and trying to push people into golf.
Relaxation of rules as well.
Yeah, and dress code.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Dress code.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, that's not nothing to do with women getting into sport, but I think it's allowing more people, because a lot of the time it's, I don't want to dress up to go and play golf.
Yeah.
Where some courses you're allowed a hoodie now.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot more chill. I think it's a lot more inviting.
Yeah, I think there was big differences with what ladies could wear compared to men. I remember being a junior at a golf club, and I got told one day that I wasn't allowed to play in the competition because I didn't have socks that covered my ankles.
Yeah.
So I had a pair of shorts on, but then trainer socks.
Yeah.
And I got told that unless I went into the pro shop and bought a pair of socks that covered my ankles, I couldn't play in the comp.
See, stuff like that just infuriates me.
Yeah. But there's it is what it is, mate. And I think golf's evolved. I know that at that golf club now that rule isn't in place, which is good to hear. But like you say, with the hoodies, and even like with ladies, even back in those days, ladies could play without a collar on their shirt.
Yeah.
But if a man turned up without a collar on their shirt, it was like, no, you need to go in the pro shop and buy a shirt with a collar.
I mean, I get the general rules of it, but it's like, what does the difference does the hoodie make?
I think I think with the relaxation, I think maybe the people who are in charge of making the rules, with regards to dress codes, have maybe seen it as golf was moving backwards as a sport. If you look at all the other sports, there's no other sports where you wore tailored trousers and a collared shirt, and a round neck jumper. It was like, all of the sports you wore sportswear.
Yeah.
You wore a round neck t-shirt and you wore shorts. Obviously, golf's never going to be like that because, and I quite like the traditional sense of golf.
I like the traditional etiquette of golf.
But I think really the way that they've relaxed it, and I think that a pair of tailored trousers and a hoodie, with the guys that are wearing them out on tour, they actually look super smart.
They do.
And the way golf shoes have developed, a lot of the golf shoes look like trainers now. They never used to. They're a lot lighter.
Tassels and tags over the top, didn't you?
Yeah,
and it's like...
yeah. But they were all leather and like when they had metal spikes and and I think it's just the golf's just become more athletic, and I think that the golfers have helped that because they're more athletic as well.
Look at McIlroy.
Yeah.
He's a beast, isn't he?
Well, they're all like it, mate. All the top guys, they're all in the gym. They're all hitting it miles. That's the way golf's progressed.
Talking about hitting it miles, are you a fan of Bryson? It's quite a controversial dude, isn't he?
He is. I'm a fan of him because I like the fact that he's done something that he believed in. And
he's scientific, isn't he?
Yeah, massively. I don't know the guy. I only know about him from what I've read and what I've seen on social media. But I think the way he is, and he's like all or nothing. I quite like that in a person. I like that mentality of I've decided that this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to follow it through. And whether it works or it doesn't, I'm going to
commit to it.
Yeah.
Like you say to me, commit to a shot. That's it. Just commit to your decision and go.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite a bit of controversy, wasn't there? I like that though. I like a bit of controversy, like Tyson Fury when he's getting ready for a fight. It's all the shit. I think more shit talk in golf. I think that'd be quite cool. My live golf are doing that, aren't they?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
What do you think for the live golf?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to sort of judge it. I think that.
Do you watch it?
I've not watched one event.
Right. Okay.
But not because I've. Not purposely, just because it's all covered by YouTube, and I don't really use YouTube. If it was being streamed on Sky Sports, yeah, I'm sure I would watch it.
Right.
I've seen bits of it, like on social media. I like the way that they're creating like that different sort of atmosphere with the music going, and it's very modern, isn't it? It's a very modern outlook on golf, and I like that. They've obviously got a lot of players on board.
Obviously, it's money driven, isn't it, to get the players over?
Yeah, it is.
But I like the party sort of atmosphere. I like the banter as well.
Yeah.
Because they can sit there, they have like post match conferences, don't they? And they just sit and take the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
And I think it's opening a new avenue for golf that's going to be more inviting. For the, I don't mean come and have a party at the golf course, but more inviting that it's not stuck up.
Yeah.
It's not a stuck up snobbery game.
Yeah.
And it's.
I think it's good.
It's that development, isn't it, in golf?
Yeah, I like sort of the concept of it. I don't know enough about it and the goings on and the to-ins and throw-ins with them and the PGA Tour enough to sort of to say that what I'm saying is the truth, because I don't know enough about it.
I love that it's free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because that, again, it gives people that can't afford a privilege. I do class Sky Sports and stuff as a TV package. When you're talking hundreds of pounds, it's a privilege, isn't it, in the modern sort of climate? So it's free viewing for that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think is quite good for let people get an insight into the golf world. I'm quite a fan of the shotgun starts. That's different.
Yeah, I think I'm all finishing at the same time, and obviously only 3 rounds.
It's shorter, isn't it?
Yeah, from what I've seen of it, it looks like a good atmosphere. And
it's a different way of playing golf.
Yeah.
That's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know enough about it. I know they do all the team things and all that jazz. Like I say, I've not watched it. I've seen bits and pieces, but I know a couple of the lads who here have seen a lot of it, who go on YouTube a lot, and they say it's good fun, but I don't really use YouTube, so I haven't seen an awful lot of it. But
no.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
it's good for the game.
Yeah,
it's not bad for the game. It can't be bad. Any exposure can't be bad for the game, can it?
No, I know that, like you say, it's money driven. There's a lot of money involved. I know that one of the guys who's a member here, he caddied for a bloke on Live, and he said that the way that he was treated on Live was fantastic.
Was that Burr?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was like just a one-time thing. I think maybe the guy we caddied for, his caddy couldn't make it or had other commitments or whatever. So Bro sort of filled in, and he said that it was fantastic.
He's a good golfer.
He is a good golfer. He is a good golfer.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah,
he's all right.
I've not had loads of interactions with Bro, just from talking to him when he's been around. Nice lad, nice guy. I get on with him. But no, we're lucky here because we've got quite a lot of good golfers.
It's nice I mean, I'd like to sit down and chat with Bro. It's like what it's like to be a tour caddy. Mm-hmm. Because I have all these, I'm sure everyone else does, it's all these, you just walk around and you carry a bag. Now, I'd like to dive a bit deeper. I might message him actually and see if we can get a podcast about that.
Yeah.
What's your favourite golf course you've ever played? Have you played some big ones?
Oh God.
Some decent.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky to play a lot of top courses. I think for me, favourite golf course that I've played, I was lucky enough to play St Andrews when I was while I was at college. We qualified for the British College Championships, which was held at the Fairmont Resort in St Andrews, and we went after the tournament to go and play the old course at St Andrews. So I'd maybe be 17, I suppose, 17 or 18. Mm-hmm. 17. And that was just like...
Is it overhyped?
I think it's just the whole place.
Oh, St Andrews is magical.
It's just a golf town. You know, everyone is a golfer. You
see people just walking to work with clubs on the back, like you'd see them carrying a handbag.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I didn't appreciate it as much as I perhaps should at the time. But I went to watch the Open this year when it was at St Andrews, and sort of reliving playing those holes and seeing it from an outsider, then looking in as opposed to actually playing it. I think I then appreciated it more. So I think St Andrews would probably be the course that would be the favourite one that I've played.
Would you like to go back now?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Sort of knowing what I know now as well, about my own game and about golf in general, and knowing a little bit more about the course from seeing it on TV and through social media, and I'd like to play it again.
Was that the best course you've played then?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say that it's probably the most enjoyable course I've played. Whenever I go and play golf courses, I always want to enjoy them.
Do you enjoy Parkland or Links?
I think I enjoy the test of both. I don't like playing Parkland in links conditions.
No.
And I don't like playing links in Parkland conditions.
Which we get that quite a lot here, because we're in a valley, aren't we, in Newark?
Yeah,
so the wind gushes through sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never played a links course.
Haven't you?
No, I'd really like to.
You would enjoy it. I think we were lucky when we played St Andrews. It was flat calm. There was hardly any wind. There was no rain. It was overcast, and it was like the perfect day, really.
That's the worst day to play St Andrews, though.
I think
it was this year's Open, wasn't it? Where the records just got smashed. The scores were just that low because Mother Nature is the protector of the course, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But it is in all links courses. I remember I played Royal St George's, which was obviously another Open qualifying venue, and I played that, and it was like 35-mile-an-hour wind, and it was just brutal.
But everyone's got the same conditions, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, and I think for me that's probably that was a fantastic golf course. I think, but the way I remember it was that it was so hard, and we played off the back tees. It was like it wasn't as enjoyable. I think maybe that's why St Andrews would be the number one, because I enjoyed playing it so much.
Yeah.
We got an easier day, but I enjoyed it, and it was the history around the place. I've played some other fantastic golf courses. I love playing Old Woodley in Leeds. I think that's brilliant.
What about Woodall Spa?
Woodall, I was a member at Woodall for a year. That was really good.
That's like the home of England golf, isn't it?
It's the home of England golf. Yeah, I think Woodall, they're doing sort of their own thing. They're doing their developments, and they're changing the way the course looks. You know what?
I've never been. I don't know.
You'd enjoy it. It's nice. I think it's like top 50 in the UK or
something
top
like that.
50 in the world.
Have you got any bucket list courses? Pebble Beach.
Augusta. I think for me, Augusta would be the only one where I would say at some point in my life
you need to go.
I need to go, and the reality of it is I'll probably never get to play Augusta.
It's invitation only, isn't it, or something daft like that?
Yeah, I don't even think you can just. I really don't know. I think you've got to be invited by a member, and the members only get so many visitor bookings allowances a year, and Augusta's only got like 100 members or whatever, what it is.
I don't think it's that expensive though.
I think it is.
I don't think it is.
I don't know, so I would be guessing.
I don't think it is. I looked into it a bit back. Not that I'm going to go over there, but I was just curious. I'm sure it's something daft, like $5,000 or something. But it's not the cost. They don't need money. It's the. So what's the word I'm looking for?
What, the prestige, I suppose?
Yeah, the prestigeness of Augusta. That's that's the sort of thing, isn't it? But apparently it looks shit, doesn't it, all year then?
I know that the members are only allowed to play it for 6 months of the year, because the other 6 months are spent preparing it for the next Masters. So I think obviously the Masters is like the first week of April usually.
They dye the grass.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I was shocked.
Surprised. Yeah.
I was shocked because when you see it on telly, it's like this is immaculate. It's the pinnacle, isn't it, of golf.
Yeah.
And it's like when you find out they dye the grass, it's like,
yeah, I don't know. I'm not surprised if they did, but I know that. Yeah, I think they play the Masters and then the members get 6 months, and then after that the course is closed for the remainder of the year until the new.
So maybe it is quite a lot of membership for 6 months.
Yeah, I don't know how much it is. Maybe check it out. It might be worth be an interesting fact to know. I bet you it don't publish any numbers on if you just went on AugustaNational.com.
It does.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. Oh no, not on their website, but there is forums and stuff where people have said it's actually this.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting. Now, the Augusta for me would be
the one.
The one. Yeah.
With who? Who's your dream four ball?
God.
Come on, let's have it.
Dream 4 ball. Tiger Woods.
Yep.
Jim Carrey.
Does he play golf?
Not a clue, but he'd just make me laugh.
Yep.
And who else would I pick? Probably someone like. Oh God! Probably someone like Mike Tyson.
Really?
Yeah. I just
feel
feel
like one golfer.
Yeah, because I think with the Jim Carrey thing, he just creases me up, right? But the Mike Tyson thing, I think In terms of interesting characters, I mean, some of the stories that he must be able to tell, and I think if I had the opportunity to, I mean, look, you put me on the spot, so I'm sure there's others, right? But if just to be able to pick his brains for 4 hours, and some of the stories, and how successful he was, and and
he's a very dominating character, isn't he?
yeah,
Person to be. He's.
But just like Tiger and Mike Tyson and Jim Carrey, I just think it'd be good fun. I think, I don't know. I think I'd have to think about that more.
I think that's too much stardom to cram into 4 hours.
Yeah, maybe. I should have maybe prepared myself. I should have realised that question was coming.
I just thought of it now, mate.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
But no,
that's quite a good group. That. How do fighters? Have you ever coached a fighter or ever seen a fighter play golf? I'm just thinking with their hand-eye coordination, how would they take to golf?
Yeah, a couple of my juniors play. A couple of my juniors box.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever coached someone who boxes properly or professionally or.
That'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, it would. It would, but I think I always try to relay the golf swing into other sports.
Yeah.
With how you move and how you use the ground for pressure and.
Yeah.
How you generate speed in other sports can be translated through into golf. So, yeah, I think if I had a boxer who came in, I think I'd be able to relate to them.
Yeah. Because you're athletic yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
It breeds that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. I think we'll wrap it up, mate.
Yeah, sounds good to me, mate.
Cool. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Obviously, I'll drop Tom's links down below. Give him a follow, give him some support for next year. What you got planned for next year tour-wise?
So I'll be playing a lot of the PGA stuff, Midlands, Order of Merit events. I might play, obviously, the Euro Pro Tour has stopped, so I don't know if there's going to be any developments with that. If there is, I might.
Was you on that last year?
No, so
it was Will, wasn't it?
Yeah, Will went
Walker,
on Euro Pro. Yeah, I didn't go to any of the Q school, and with the Euro Pro, you've got to be doing it full time, and obviously with my role here with the coaching, I wouldn't have had enough. I wouldn't be able to take off the time that I needed to commit to play Euro Pro. So I might have a look, see if they, obviously that's not going to be the Euro Pro anymore. But if that changes, I might look into that. There's another tour, Clutch Tour. I might play a few events of those. But mainly PGA stuff. They're a lot of one-day events, and I can fit them in around my coaching, so that works well for me.
Well, wish you the best of luck on that.
Thank you,
so give Tom a follow his journey next year, and I'm looking down at the laptop, but the camera's up there. But thank you very much, and thanks for your time again, Tom.
You're welcome, mate.
Cheers, pal.
Thank you, pal.